bears, dolphins and whales, and I've got the months January, February, March, April, May, June. A chart is not based on I like the design so I made the chart. वो हो ही नहीं सकता. That's the wrong way of looking at things. कि भाई अरे I feel like showing the data in a pie chart. ऐसा थोड़ी होता है. You feel like putting the data in a pie chart, but is the data qualified to be put in a pie chart? That is the question always whenever you're looking at creating a chart. A chart is never created based on what you want. A chart is always created based on the data that you are selecting. And does that data have any meaning or a significance in the chart? So every section of data can be represented by different types of charts. So always the question that comes to a person's mind is, how do I decide, yeah, ye chart, is it perfect for this data? How do I take that decision? On what basis can I decide that? That's always there in everybody's mind when they are creating a chart. That's the first thing actually. So when I select this data, I say, chalo, mujhe pura data select karna hai, for example. So I selected the data, but my selection is not perfect because when I did a selection, always remember, if you are selecting the months, January, February, March, April, May, June, then please also select the headings along with the data. Don't just select the data which is typed down. Please select the complete set of data. That's the first thing you need to understand. Always select complete set of data if you want to analyze the entire data. वो अलग बात है. As we move on, there are various stages at which you might pick up only certain data to be converted to a chart. But generally, we select the entire set of data. And then when I go to insert, I have option of chart. I always tell people that let Excel work for you. You don't work for Excel. In the case of charts also, I don't want to work very hard. I know that Excel will give me the correct analysis of my data because that's what it is made for. So when I'm wanting to create a chart, I am simply going to go into something known as recommended chart. Let us see what Excel gives us. When I went into recommended chart, as you can see, Excel is giving us the first choice as clustered column. He's saying this data in a clustered column will look the best. Then he tells me you can also display the data as a line. You can also display the data as another type of column, which is called a stacked column. And you can also display the data as an area chart or a stacked area chart. Now, if I would have not gone here, and if I would say, chal yaar, mujhe pie karna hai, and I would go and choose a pie, look what happened. It's absolutely wrong. What am I getting? I'm getting only bears. Where are my dolphins? Where are my whales? They're not coming only. They will not come. Because the pie chart is not meant for so much of data to be put into a pie. That very clearly I came to know when I went into insert and recommended charts. Excel is not giving me only the option of pie. Dikhao mujhe pie. Nahi hai. There is no pie here. He's giving me everything else. Combination chart, this, that, sab de raha, but pie nahi de raha. Because the data is not meant to be used in a pie chart. That's why I told you, let Excel work for you. So whenever you create a chart, always do this. Go into insert and go to recommended charts. See first what is Excel suggesting to you, then take your decision. Now Excel is suggesting to me, bhai tum column le lo. मैं बोलता हूँ मुझे line भी तो दे रहा है, चल मैं line ले लेता हूँ because I wanted a line chart. तो मैंने line format में ले लिया and I say okay to it and I get a beautiful chart showing me my data in a line format. Now, after I got a line chart, वैल्यूज कहां है? नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन माइंड में हमेशा ये आता है मेरे कि मैंने चार्ट क्रिएट किया, उसमें आई हैव पुट द मंथ्स, आई हैव पुट सम नंबर्स, आई हैव पुट बेयर्स, डॉल्फिन्स एंड व्हेल्स एंड आई हैव पुट अ चार्ट टाइटल ऑन टॉप. बट ये क्या है, हो क्या रहा है? ये चार्ट में एक्चुअली हो क्या रहा है? द आइडिया ऑफ क्रिएटिंग अ चार्ट इज व्हाट? अ चार्ट is a graphical representation of data. That means a chart is meant to be able to explain the data to the opposite person without the person requiring to actually go to see the data. That's the idea of a chart. If my chart cannot convey the message of displaying the data in totality, the purpose of the chart is lost. The whole idea of having a chart is lost. So first thing is, ये chart title के बदले क्या होना चाहिए इधर? I'll say I want to put over here wildlife population. So what am I trying to show? I'm trying to show the wildlife population. चलिए clarity मिल गई कि हाँ भाई, this chart is about wildlife population. First clarity आपको मिल गई. Second, what are these? January, February, March, April, May. These are the different months. Okay, and what are these numbers on the side? क्या है? Sale figures है. What are they? What are they? Are they the number of surviving animals or the number of dead animals? How do I know all that? I can't know by looking at it right now. No, forget this data. Even this data doesn't show me actually. So let's give this chart more meaning. Every chart has got something known as chart elements. When we click on a chart, we go to the option known as design. और यहां पे मेरे पास एक ऑप्शन है known as chart element. Chart elements are the different elements that we can put in a chart. So I say I want to add the axis के titles भी चाहिए मुझे. I want to show what is on my horizontal axis and what is in my vertical axis. मुझे दिखाना है. So I put axis titles. So here I'm going to put the months, and here I'm going to put number of, let's say, or I just put the survival. I can just take out number also. Actually, I can just put the ones who have survived. So just survival. So I've got months, I've got survival of the animals. Bears, dolphins, and whales are very clear that the orange stands for dolphins, the blue stands for bears, and the gray stands for whales. So we are analyzing the survival of our wildlife population. Ki how much of the wildlife population has survived over a period of January, February, March, April, May, and June. Is my population of the animal going down or is it going up? That's what this chart is now showing me. I can very clearly understand as soon as I put the word survival, as soon as I put the word months, and as soon as I put the word wildlife population. मैंने इस chart को meaning दे दिया. But the main meaning is still left कि ये जो orange line जा रहा है उसके values कहाँ है? ये जो blue line जा रहा है उसके values कहाँ है? और ये जो gray line जा रहा है उसके. So I go back to the chart element. I say yes, please add values. I've got something known as data labels. Data labels helps me to add values to the chart. I say yes, where do you want the data label? देखिए ये तो बहुत jumbled up लग रहा है. ये थोड़ा clear है, ये थोड़ा clear है, ये above करता हूँ. फिर भी, if you look at this, it just does not make sense. There's too much of, see this. This is quite clear, but it's too much to see. See, it's just too much to see. So even after I've chosen a line chart, let's say I put values for it. Let's say I want to put it above. Honestly, tell me, do you think this chart is impressive? So even though I chose a line chart and the Excel told me it is a recommended chart, you can very well use it. But when I look at a chart on its own without seeing this data on the side, I realized यार इसमें numbers एक दूसरे के ऊपर overlap हो रहे हैं. There's too much happening on this chart. It's not giving me the clarity I'm looking for. So I say, चलो इसको छोड़ो. Let's go for another chart then. Nothing wrong in the line chart. Again, I'm repeating to you all. I showed you how to create a line chart. I showed you how to add values to it. I showed you how to give names to the chart. But it depends on how much data you are projecting in a chart. तो लाइन चार्ट तो मैंने आपको दिखा दिया कैसे बनाते हैं. सेम वे आई गो बैक होम में, आई गो बैक टू इंसर्ट में बोलता हूँ चलो भाई रिकमेंडेड में ही चलते हैं. एज आई हैव टोल्ड यू, लेट्स टेक दिस. हाउ अबाउट दिस? दिस लुक्स इंटरेस्टिंग. हाँ, दिस इज नॉट बैड. थोड़ा बेटर देन लाइन लग रहा है मुझे. इसको डेटा लेवल देके देखिए. much better than a line chart. The same data which we created using the line chart, see how interesting it can get when you have same data as two different charts. I am not using my brains to use a line or a area. I will simply go by what Excel recommended. And here when I show my data, look how beautifully the data is showing. We're looking at a chart known as a scatter plot chart. You can see I've opened up a sheet which has got a very simple example where there are salaries and there is car price. So that means we have got a x-axis and a y-axis. X-axis has got the salaries and the y-axis got the different prices of the car. Based on this data, I want to create a chart, but this time I'm creating a different type of a chart known as a scatter plot chart. So I'm going to select the full data. After selecting this data, I go to insert. And over here, I've got something known as the different types of scatter charts. I'm choosing the one which is known as the scatter plot. There you go. And here is my chart. And look at this chart. Right now, it's not making a lot of sense looking at this chart. You're like wondering what are these dots doing over here and these numbers on top, numbers on the side. Let's add some value to this chart. I'm going to go to design. And I'm going to activate under chart elements. I last time taught you all about chart elements. Under chart elements, I will go and say, okay, I want to bring my axis to primary axis and horizontal and vertical. Dono leke aate hain. There you go. And I also realized that these dots which are there, if you notice, the dots are moving in a particular flow. You know, it's something like how you have bubbles in the water. See, when you see bubbles in the water, they always move in a particular manner or a particular style in which the bubbles are moving in the water. Obviously, that is dependent on the airflow which is affecting the water. That's how the bubbles are moving in the water. But the example goes very well over here because these dots are similar to bubbles. And right now they're just spread across this particular chart. So they're not making any sense. To give more sense to these dots, we will add something known as trend line. A trend line basically helps us to understand the chart or the trend in which the chart is trying to project the data. So if I just go to trend line and I choose a linear trend line, you will notice that there's a dotted line which has appeared. And the dots are around the dotted line. Some dots are closer to the line over here, and some dots are a little far from the line. This trend line is basically very clearly showing us the relationship between the salary and the price of the car. So over here, instead of writing a car price or something, I will give this very interesting title which says what your car says about your salary. Just imagine we have created such an interesting chart actually. Based on the car, I'm able to judge the salary. तो यहाँ पे जो access title है, this is your salary, and this access title is the car price. Car price is something which is the market price. ये तो हम change नहीं कर सकते, ये तो रहेगा ही रहेगा, जैसा है वैसा है. But here, now it started making a bit of sense as to what would be the salaries and what would be the car prices. Let's add our data labels also. It's very tricky, but this becomes very interesting in this particular graph. A data callout is very practically used over here because it gives me both the salary as well as the car price. When I right now it says sir sab overlap ho raha hai, don't worry, I'll show you what you're supposed to do. When I click on this, all are getting selected. Let's click on any one of them. Okay, let's try to move it. See that one moved. You can actually move these data labels, all right, by going to the edge and positioning it wherever you feel right to position them. Okay. What we are doing is we are taking these data labels and putting them a little far so that it doesn't look so jumbled up as it was looking earlier. Look, sir, abhi bhi sir jumbled hai. Don't worry. I'm showing you all. That's what I'm showing you all. How you can make it a sensible chart. Otherwise, the chart just by the dots does not make sense at all. ये थोड़ा dots दिखने लगा है, थोड़ा clarity आ गया है. These data callouts, if I'm going into format, I've got text fill, text outline, text effects, shape fill, shape outline. And under home only, I've got the font sizes also. This helps me to reduce the font size of the text. So I automatically create a little bit of more space for my text to be readable because they become smaller in size. So ये particular circle में clarity आ गया है. इसको हम लोग थोड़ा इधर लाके रख देते हैं. अब आप बोलोगे सर ये इसके ऊपर आ रहा है, ये इसके नीचे जा रहा है. Can we do something about that? You can't do much. There's an align button which helps you to align it, but you can't take it front or back. It's not working. See, I can't take these objects front or back. So I have to figure out as to how to position them so that they don't actually interrupt my data. What एक काम कर सकते हैं? Let's do this. इसे सर इसको नीचे ला सकते हैं? हो गया ना नीचे? See, now not only can you see the dots clearly, but you can also see the values very clearly by simply doing one thing, going inside them and pressing an enter. Data which you are seeing in front of me, इसमें है month, rainy days or profit. I've got three axes here, X, Y, and E, because all three are connected with each other. The first case would be month and rainy days. ये मेरा एक scenario हो गया कि भाई January में how many days did it rain? If I want to find that out and I want to show that in a form of a chart, that in January month how many days were of rain, I want to project that. In May how many days were of rain, I want to show that. So I will choose month and rainy days. पर a clear cut chart आ जाएगा showing me the month along with the rainy days. Correct? Same way, if I want to project, I can select the month and I can select the profit. कि भाई कौन से month में मेरे को कितना profit हो, right or wrong? मैं इसको select करके इसको select कर दूंगा. हो गया मेरा month and profit. One chart will be of month and rainy days. Second chart will be of month and profit. Are we clear till here? दो चार्ट आराम से बना सकते हो आप. One showing how many rainy days were there in January and the second showing how much profit you made in January. But the problem in this is that when I create these two charts, I'm not able to build a relationship in my data, right or wrong?
Right.
Where's my relationship? Profit is one aspect of my business. And rainy days has got nothing to do with my business actually. मैं rainy days का ग्राफ अगर बनाता हूँ या चार्ट बनाता हूँ, how is it going to help me in my business? It's not going to. कोई देखेगा बोलेगा ये क्या है, ये चार्ट में हमने rainy days क्यों दिया है भाई? फिर मुझे उसको दिखाना पड़ेगा, हाँ देखिए ये चार्ट में rainy days है और ये चार्ट में देखिए मेरा प्रॉफिट है. जनवरी मंथ में ना 12 days was raining एंड मेरे कंपनी ने इतना प्रॉफिट किया. तो प्रॉफिट मैं अलग चार्ट में दिखा रहा हूँ, रेनी डेज में अलग चार्ट में दिखा रहा हूँ. But if I really want to show a relationship between the month, the rainy days and the profit, if I want all these three together to be projected as a single chart, Excel has got something that we call as a combination chart. Excel में इधर सब टाइप के चार्ट्स हैं, कॉलम, बार, लाइन, 3D line, pie, 3D pie, scatter, bubble, tree map, sunburst, waterfall, funnel, stocks, surface, radar. और यहाँ पे it's got something that we call as a combo chart. When I want to show a relationship of three different columns which are connected with each other, I cannot create a single chart. I have to create a combination chart. Like in the first case I showed you, that when I was showing a direct relationship between two columns, I was not creating a bar chart, but I was creating a scatter plot chart because the relationship was very direct between the two. In this case, there's a relationship between three. January month may I make a profit of 3,500, but is that profit got anything to do with the rainy days? Yes, it has got. Why? Because I'm dealing with agricultural products. All right. So I come to a combo chart and I say, let's choose one of the combo charts. So मैंने ये chart ले लिया. मुझे अरे सर यहाँ तो एक ही चार्ट दिखा रहा है वो. He's showing me the rainy days and the profit. And if you look at this chart right now, you are able to see only the profit. सिर्फ ये orange line दिख रहा है हमको. और बाजू में हमको values मिल गए हैं. But ये profit कहाँ है? देखिए profit यहाँ है. This blue color line which is coming above all the months. उधर मेरा rainy day है. Profit मेरा orange line. Side में मेरे values हैं. So right now, what is this graph showing me? This graph or this chart is showing me only the profit of the company. He is not showing me the rainy days. The rainy days are hidden next to the month. Even though I chose a combo chart, I am not able to show the chart the way I plan to show it. After you choose a combo chart, the next step for us would be what? Format the chart area. No. How do you think will I get this blue color data? Any clue? Any idea? Change chart type में जाएं. अब बताइए. Any clue? Any idea? Know that line is our profit and rainy day is our clustered column. Correct? I don't want to disturb what is there. I just want to add one more axis. All I'm going to do is I'm going to just click this button. Done? And I click OK. See the chart now. Interesting chart, है ना? It not only shows me the profit that the company is making, but it also shows me the number of days it has rained. So the first chart it's a typical scenario where we have a restaurant which we are running and we have got various complaints which come to us when we are running a restaurant. So these are the different types of complaints which people would generally do when they go to a restaurant. So I'm assuming 27 people did not like the restaurant because of its noise. 65 did not like because it was overpriced. 45 said the food is tasteless. About 37 said the food is not fresh. Around the same number of people said the food is too salty. Restaurant is not clean. Unfriendly staff. Wait time. No atmosphere. And small portions of food. Is again a complaint of about 30 people. So this is the current count of the number of people who have complained about the restaurant. So I'm going to create an interesting chart to find out how to tackle this problem. Instead of creating a normal column chart or bar chart, what I will create will be something known as a, here he's showing me clustered bar, he's showing me clustered column, funnel. Now see the chart that he's showing me in the end. This is the chart I was talking about. It's called a Pareto chart. It's very interesting. I click OK and see what he gives us. So this is restaurant complaints. बड़ा interesting है ये. Over here I've got blue bars and I've got one orange color line which is going across. And the blue bars are clearly showing me which are the maximum number of complaints, which is the lowest number of complaints. On this side you have got the number of people complaining. On this side you have got the percentage of the total complaints that you have received. Now, when I want to tackle this problem of restaurant complaints, one way of tackling would be चलो यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक सब problem बैठ के solve करो. That becomes a very cumbersome task and becomes a very challenging task, because at one given point of time, you are trying to meet all the possible drawbacks and converting it into a positive aspect for your business. It becomes very difficult to do it together. For any business, so restaurant is just an example. कोई भी product बेच रहे हो, some will say it's overpriced, some will say the quality is not good, someone will say the delivery time is not good, someone will say the pricing is not good. कोई भी product के लिए ये तो general complaints होते ही हैं. Similar scenario इधर भी है हमारे पास. So what are we going to do in this case? It's very simple. Why do we have the blue bars are very clear that they are basically showing us the number of complaints we have received and the different categories over here of the complaints. Overpriced, food salty, tasteless, ये वो. ये जो orange color line है, वो क्या है? The orange line is not based on the blue bars, it is based on the percentage. That currently when I'm looking at the orange line, I have to just look at this graph and realize where is the orange line overlapping on the blue. I have to see that area first. कि कौन सा area है जहां पे orange line blue line के ऊपर overlap हो रहा है. And here it is. Overpriced, food is too salty, food is tasteless. These three sections have the orange line overlapping the blue bar. So I'm going to monitor myself based on the orange line. I'll say हाँ यार ये तीन को तो ठीक करना ही है पहले मेरे को. सबसे पहले तो मुझे ये तीन को निकालना है. These three have to go. So I try to change the pricing of my restaurant food and my complaints go down from 65 to 40. And then I say, okay, food is too salty. So I say, okay, namak kam dalo, usko thora balance karo, make it a little better, so that people, the customers feel it's not very salty. And I successfully managed that. And if you realize, as I'm going on reducing the number of complaints, my orange line is overlapping more and more blue bars. You will realize that. Suddenly, food is tasteless became number one complaint. अरे भाई, food is tasteless number one हो गया. भाई कोई थोड़ा spice वाइस डालो, complaint कम कराओ, complaint कम हो गए. अरे overpriced number one हो गया. Oh God. और क्या हो गया? Overpriced. Food not fresh. Small portions. Not clean. Too noisy. So at one given point of time, you will feel that I was better off before. At least I didn't have to tackle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. I was tackling only 3 problems because there was an overlapping of the orange on the blue only for 3 bars. मैंने क्या यहाँ पे improve किया मेरा complaints और दूसरे ऐड हो गए. Naturally. The reason why there is an addition is because it is taking the average of the number of count. If I want my overpriced figure to disappear, there should be zero complaints. If I want food which is or food not fresh, for example, this should again be zero complaints. If small portions are there, this should again be zero complaints. Only then will I achieve what I'm looking for. Overpriced food, not fresh, and small portions have zero complaints. My orange bar has become straight. Telling me very clearly that I have successfully managed these three aspects of my business, but these all are still a problem. But these are not such a big problem as compared to these. So what I do is I start working again around this. Not clean. I get only 5 complaints then. Fantastic. Unfriendly staff, I have only 5 complaints. Wait time, I have only 5 complaints. Not no atmosphere, I have 0 complaints. Just see what happened. My orange bar or the orange line is now overlapping only 2 things, too noisy and food is tasteless. If I go and say food is salty, too salty, 20 पे छोड़ देता हूँ. मैं बोलता हूँ food is tasteless. I work on it, add the best recipes, and I reduce my complaints to 6. And then I'm left with only too noisy. I put lovely background music. I create a nice atmosphere in my restaurant, try to make it as quiet as possible, create some special zones, soundproof glass, all the things I do, I'll end up getting even less complaints, 5 complaints. And then I'm left with only one thing, food is too salty. Successful उसमें भी हो गया 9 complaints आ गए. You're saying it's not ending only, sir. पहले सिर्फ food is salty था, जब यहाँ पे 20 था. जैसे ही मैंने इसको 9 किया, आपका blue और orange दो चीज में आ गया, food is tasteless, food is salty. Naturally. Because as I told you, it is an average that it's looking at कि average complaints क्या आ रहे हैं. अगर आपको सच्ची complaint नहीं चाहिए, इसको 2 नंबर कर दो, इसको भी 2 कर दो, 5 को भी 2 कर दो, इसको भी 2 करो, सबको 2 कर दो. फिर आप realize करोगे that there is a balance in the number of complaints, and your graph is very clear that the restaurant is very good as far as pricing goes. This goes, and this goes. Food is very fresh, pricing is perfect, atmosphere is good, and the portions are not very small. Right now, you have overcome only 4 aspects of your business. These are still a problem in your business because you still have these 2 complaints coming from customers. So business is not dependent on the number of complaints. But a business is dependent on what is the average of complaints that you receive. यहाँ पे 34 है, 45 है, 65 है, 76 है. This is a very contrasting figure compared to 2222. And this graph very clearly shows me that right now, if you can tackle these 2 aspects of your business, you will be better off, because these 2 aspects are the ones which have an overlapping orange line on the blue bars. I'm going to another chart which is again very interesting. We call this chart sunburst. नाम ऐसा रखा हुआ है लोगों ने, sunburst. The reason why it's called a sunburst chart is because this is one chart which is a circular chart, just like the sun. It's circular. And just like the sun rays, every aspect of your business is like a sun rays, basically like a part of the sun based on how the business is running in different zones or different locations. As you can see this data, I've got three aspects to it: location, program, and profit. So I'm looking at a very clear-cut aspect over here. I want all these three to be implemented inside a chart. Because they all are related to each other. Location East में मेरा एक program A चल रहा है, I'm making a profit of 80,000 over there. Location East में मेरा program B चल रहा है, I'm making 61,000. Location West में I've got another program C, but West में I've got A also. तो मेरे East में भी A है, West में भी A है. और मेरे को अगर ऐड करना है तो मैं यहाँ पे ऐड कर देता हूँ, मैं साउथ भी ऐड कर देता हूँ. साउथ में भी मेरा प्रोग्राम सी चल रहा है, where I'm making a profit of 67,000. और साउथ में मेरा एक और प्रोग्राम चल रहा है, प्रोग्राम लेट्स से ई, जहां पे आई एम मेकिंग अ प्रॉफिट ऑफ 38,000. So now I've got all my four zones: east, west, north, and south. I've got the different programs which are being conducted in these locations, and I've got the profits that I make by running these programs. I want all this to be represented into a chart, and in such a way that I'm able to compare my two programs which are running in two different zones. I'm able to also see all the programs together which are running in different zones, and I want them to be divided separately in separate sections. मतलब ईस्ट को अलग, वेस्ट को अलग, नॉर्थ को अलग, साउथ को अलग करना है, उनके अंदर वो प्रोग्राम्स रन कर रहे हैं और उनको सबको कंपेयर करना है एक साथ. इंटरेस्टिंग एस्पेक्ट है, नीडेड है. सो वी गो इनटू इंसर्ट चार्ट एंड वी से चलिए अभी चार्ट इंसर्ट करते हैं. कौन सा चार्ट इंसर्ट करना है? यहाँ पे रिकमेंडेड चार्ट में जाता हूं मैं. और जो सेकंड चार्ट है वो बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है, कॉल्ड एज अ सनबर्स्ट चार्ट. एज यू कैन सी इट्स लाइक द सन राउंड, इट्स गॉट डिफरेंट कलर्स ऑटोमेटिकली क्रिएटेड फॉर मी एंड ईच कलर इज अ डिफरेंट जोन. तो जब मैं ओके करूंगा यू रियलाइज क्या ब्यूटीफुल चार्ट है ये. इट इज सच अ फैंटास्टिक चार्ट showing me the profits at different locations. And just to let you know that it's not profits at different locations, but profits of different programs at different locations. So I am showing you the profit of different programs at different locations. आप बोलोगे सर हेडिंग ठीक है, ग्राफ ठीक है, मगर मेरे प्रॉफिट कहाँ है, वैल्यू कहाँ है? लाते हैं ना वैल्यू. So this is so much better than a bar or a pie or a pie में तो होगा भी नहीं. Pie तो एक ही एस्पेक्ट को पिकअप करेगा. Pie में you can't create this what I've created. और बार में और जो बोलते हैं लाइन में, उसमें बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हो जाएगा. कॉलम में भी ठीक है, इट्स नॉट एनीथिंग ग्रेट, बट हियर इट इज गिविंग यू अ वेरी क्लियर कट बाइफर्केशन. देखिए साउथ को उसने येलो कलर दे दिया, ईस्ट को ब्लू दे दिया, नॉर्थ को ग्रे दे दिया, वेस्ट को ब्राउनिश कलर दे दिया है. आफ्टर आई पुट दिस, बस ऐसे चलिए अभी मुझे इसको कुछ करना है, वैल्यूएशन करना है. तो मैं जब राइट क्लिक करता हूं मुझे ऑप्शन आता है फॉर्मेट डेटा सीरीज. जब फॉर्मेट डेटा सीरीज के ऑप्शन में जा रहा हूं, मैं देख रहा हूं इधर कुछ है मेरे पास, कुछ नहीं आ रहा. तो ऐसे चलिए एक काम करते हैं, जाके देखते हैं लेबल्स का क्या हुआ. लेबल्स तो हमको अलाउड ही ऐड करना. बोल रहा है लेबल पहले ही अप्लाई कर दिया है. अरे अप्लाई कर दिया है, अच्छा. तो अभी इसी लेबल्स को जो अप्लाई किया हुआ है, इसी लेबल्स के अंदर हम जाएंगे, नोन एज मोर डेटा लेबल ऑप्शंस. इसके अंदर हमारे पास एक ऑप्शन है नोन एज वैल्यू. The data label primarily is the label which is given for the data, which is the 4 different zones and the different programs. So the data labels, when you go to, it will show you कि data label आपने on कर दिया है, center. Off करूंगा तो बिल्कुल कुछ नहीं दिखाएगा. डेटा लेबल सेंटर ऑन हो गया. But he's not showing me the values because predominantly it's talking about the different programs which are being conducted at the different zones. वो उसका main focus है कि भाई साउथ पे हम कौन से प्रोग्राम रन कर रहे हैं, प्रोग्राम ई और सी. अच्छा, ईस्ट में प्रोग्राम ए और बी. देन आई डिसाइड आई वांट टू नो कि मेरा वैल्यूएशन क्या है, मेरा प्रॉफिट या लॉस क्या है उसमें. तो आई गो टू द डेटा लेबल्स ऑप्शन एंड आई चूज वैल्यू. And beautifully the value has come with a comma is separated by the name of the program. ये जो comma है उसके बदले I can also use a new line. When I choose a new line, देखिए आपका डेटा कितना अच्छी तरह represent कर रहा है. Now your chart is making a lot of sense. I just feel that I know everything in this chart now. My 4 zones, the different programs that I conduct, and the different profits that I'm making from this program. ये भी बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है because it's again got. मैं रेस्टोरेंट का एग्जांपल अगेन दे रहा हूं. मैं इसलिए देता हूं because रेस्टोरेंट एग्जांपल somehow works very well with these charts actually. That's why I'm giving you a restaurant example again, but you can use it for anything. Now this is a very typical example again. A restaurant is serving 3 types of meals, breakfast, lunch and tea. और breakfast में भी वो tea देता है naturally, और tea time में भी tea देता है. The same product is being repeated twice. Obviously he gives food, he gives beverage again. During lunchtime also he serves soup and iced tea. ब्रेकफास्ट में भी टी और कॉफी सर्व कर रहा है. तो बेवरेज करके एक कैटेगरी जो है वो रिपीट हो रहा है, फूड का कैटेगरी भी रिपीट हो रहा है नेचुरली. सो ये जो पूरा डेटा है मुझे इस कंप्लीट डेटा को एक चार्ट में डालना हो. फॉर एग्जांपल आई डोंट वांट टू सी एवरीथिंग कांट फिट इन अ चार्ट. यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट आल्सो. I may not be able to fit all the details of this data, but I'll be able to get a very clear picture of this data by creating a chart known as a tree map chart. अभी बोलोगे सर ये tree map chart क्या है भाई? What is this name tree map? Tree map is the word tree they have given is because just like the branches of a tree, each aspect of my business is divided in a separate box. Each aspect of my business is put in a separate box. Like the branches of a tree, like each branch of a tree will have its own leaves. Similarly. And the second thing, it is more like a map. It is not like the shape of a tree, but more like a map. जैसे map में हम देखते हैं data, वैसे एक map जैसा creates like a chart actually. So actually tree chart would have been a better name. Anyway, they have called it a tree map. So after I select this data, I go to insert and I go to recommended charts. और Excel मुझे recommendation में इतने सारे charts दे रहा है, but कहीं पे भी tree map नहीं दे रहा वो. See, there is no tree map here. It's a very rare, जैसे बोलते हैं ना, very rare type of a chart we use. Recommendation में भी इसलिए नहीं है. But I'm showing you all because it's a very interesting chart. Just look at this chart. This is called a tree map chart. Interesting again. When I look at this chart, breakfast, lunch or tea time, lunch automatically orange में आ रहा है, breakfast green blue में आ रहा है और tea time grey में आ रहा है. ये तो automatically colors आ रहे हैं. ये मैंने colors थोड़ी choose किए हैं. These colors have come automatically, ना? Breakfast, lunch and tea. And if you realize lunch के अंदर the boxes are not even, the boxes are very uneven. एक box इतना बड़ा है, एक box इतना छोटा है, एक थोड़ा लंबा है, एक थोड़ा ऐसा लंबा है. टी टाइम में देखेंगे तो मोर और लेस तीनों boxes सेम साइज के लग रहे हैं. ब्रेकफास्ट में भी देखेंगे तो ये वाफल्स का बड़ा है, ये थोड़ा स्लिम है, ये बाजू में 2 पीस में हो गया टी और कॉफी. तो कुछ तो हो रहा है, ये बॉक्सेस का साइज चेंज हो रहा है अलग अलग साइजेस में, कुछ तो रीजन होगा इनका चेंज होने का, क्यों चेंज हो रहा है, हो क्या रहा है। तो आई गो बैक टू चार्ट एलिमेंट, ऐसे चलिए देखते हैं डेटा लेबल्स, अरे डेटा लेबल्स तो ऑन है, तो लेट्स गो टू मोर डेटा लेबल ऑप्शन। हम बोलते हैं चलो भाई हमको वैल्यू देखना है, डेटा लेबल अगर आप बोल रहे हो ऑन है, तो how are these boxes changing in size? What is the value in these boxes? Look at that. I put the value on. जैसे ही मैंने वैल्यू ऑन किया, यू विल रियलाइज कि इस बॉक्सेस में जो सबसे महंगा आइटम है उसका बॉक्स सबसे बड़ा है. In case of lunch, the salad is the most expensive product. That's why the box of salad is the biggest. In case of breakfast, the waffles are most expensive. That's why the box of waffles is biggest. In tea time, more or less, all three are around the same price. That's why you see there is a symmetry in these three boxes. Very little difference in the sizes of these boxes. So this type of a chart is showing us which are the dominant factors in our business. That means which are the most expensive products that I am selling. That can be highlighted by putting a bigger box compared to the other ones. And also it shows me the balance or the equation of each sector. For example, अगर breakfast एक sector है, उस sector के अंदर मेरा जो सबसे dominant factor है वो waffles है right now. अगर कल मेरा waffles के बदले अगर pancake का price भी 220 हो जाता, तो उस sector के अंदर waffles and pancakes are more or less the same. They both are dominating the sector of breakfast. Tea or coffee are the lower segments of this particular sector. Similarly, in the evening time, the tea, coffee, and the cakes are more or less in the same range. But tomorrow, if the price of the cake had to be expensive, and suddenly you would realize that the cakes that I'm getting are not so cheap, they're supposed to be at least of 101, 150 rupees each piece, the whole sector of my tea is going to change. You suddenly see the entire sector changing. एक बड़ा dominant factor आ गया और दो छोटे factors आ गए. So this chart can be used not just as a restaurant. That's why I'm repeating the word sector. You must have realized. I could have always said the menu, but I'm calling it a sector because this can be used also if you're looking at your sales which are happening, if you're looking at the different purchases that you're doing. This chart can be used in multiple areas. Where I'm saying the value of my product is this much, I can change that value and say my sale price is this much or my purchase price is this much. So I can analyze which products I'm buying at what price and which is the dominant factor in that particular segment. Lunch एक segment हो गया, breakfast एक segment हो गया, tea time एक segment हो गया. तो अलग-अलग segment में which are the dominant products or which are the most expensive products I buy, and then I can always compare that with the sales that I conduct.